Welcome back. It's still Daybreak Africa, and this morning we shall be talking on the post-election analysis of Edo State. With us in the house is Rufus Olatunji. He's a lecturer, he's a political analyst, he's a graduate of AREYOU College of Education, Ondo in 2001, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife in 2008, University of Benin 2021, Lead City University, Ibadan, where he did obtain his NC Economics Geography, BSc Ed in Geography, MSc Ed in Social Studies Education. He has Diploma in Computer Studies and several other professional computer training, respectively. Welcome on the show once again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
You're welcome, madam.
Well, I'm very certain that you have been inclined with the whole electioneering process since Saturday and how the turnout and everyone's like some people were excited, some people were aggrieved. So what is your insight? How do you think the election went?
Well, being an observer, a distant observer, I feel what other people felt, because definitely in a context you must have a winner and a loser. So the winner will definitely have to be rejoicing, while the losers also, we have to also, wear a kind of mourning garment, and that is exactly what happened the last weekend as regard the Edo governorship election. It is one election that is quite, how do I put it now, that people look up to what we come out of that election. Don't let us forget it's an off-season election, and looking at the prevailing circumstances of economic downturn in the country and the hardship that people are passing through, actually a lot of people, those that are from Edo State and those of us that are outside Edo State, we actually want to see probably people we make their decision based on the prevailing economic circumstances in the country. But maybe unfortunately, it wasn't as we thought it would be, not because we have interest in any political party, but we know the parties that are managing the economy of the country, both at the federal and the state level. We thought that people will decide based on what they are passing through, but I dare say it wasn't as we expect.
Why would you say such, that people did not vote according to what they were passing through?
All right. You see the outcome of the election. At the national level, we have the party that is ruling, which is the All Progressive Congress, APC. And we all know what how they are managing the economy, the security, and every other things that could be referred to as the necessities of life in the country that they are managing. But we are feeling the very bad effect of the mismanagement of the economy and every other aspect of the nation. And so people who are passing through this kind of stress, we expect that probably such a party should not be an option.
So are you saying people should judge by party and not individuals?
Not party, if you can get me very well. I am talking about the effect of their management of the economy of the country. So it's not a party per se. After all, in the state where the election took place, it is being managed by another party, which is PDP. So, and if we also look at the performance of that party also in that state, we also discovered that it was a performance that is below average. And so, even though we are looking at the national party, we're also looking at the state where the election took place, the party that is managing the state. So we are series or combinations of factors that led to the outcome of the election in Edo State. And if I may say this, there are some, what I call electoral fundamentals. Electoral fundamentals. When we talk of election, as far as Nigeria is concerned, we have to talk about the electoral umpire. We have to talk about the processes. Then we have to look at the personalities that are involved in the election. I mean the stakeholders in terms of the contestants.
Okay.
All these are fundamentals. If you look at what transpired in Edo last weekend, you will discover that if you pick each of these fundamentals, you will really not take side with any of the party. Probably this party should be the one that will win the election, or that party should be the one that will win the election. But probably, maybe as we go on, we begin to pick them one after the other. Electoral umpire, for example, you agree with me that we have serious reservation with regards to INEC. Their conducts from time to time, they have been conducting election that's almost below average.
And you think this one is below average?
You said?
So you believe this one is below average?
Oh, they actually improved on the past record. They improved, but yet the process now has a problem, which is not peculiar to that of last weekend election. It's a general national issue. When we talk of processes involving election in Nigeria, it entails a lot of things, from voting, from accreditation to voting, from voting to collation, and from collation to declaration of the election, and including the security apparatus that monitors or that probably were asked to secure the process. So all this, they are factors that needed to be actually meticulously analyzed before we can say, oh, this is what should be the outcome, this is what should not be the outcome of the election.
Talking about winners and losers, what were the key factors you believe contributed to the success, to the winning candidate's success? I'll use that term.
With regard to the last weekend?
Yes, last
weekend.
weekend.
You see, in Edo State, there are a lot of factors. The incumbent governor is a factor. The Oba of Benin is a factor. The political party that the governor belongs to is a factor. The contestant in that election, that is PDP candidate, is a factor. Then looking at the APC candidates is another factor. Then looking at the federal mites in court is a fact. So these are factors that brings about who wins and who loses the election. If I should be picking these factors one after the other, you will agree with me that at the end of the day, you wouldn't know probably who actually the cap fits. Actually, because let me quickly start with the incumbent governor. Yeah, I was privileged to travel to Edo State, Benin specifically, severally during his tenure. And if you look at it, the governor actually performed very, very poorly. And that alone makes people not to have interest in his candidate that he put up. So that's one. Okay. Two, the party he belongs. Now, probably because of his lack of political experience per se, though he's a second-term governor, but that doesn't matter. A politician is actually different from a technocrat. He came from a technocratic background, but if he were to be a politician, he would have managed his party very well. You see, lot of big wigs of the party decamped right from his very deputy governor down to the speaker of the House of Assembly. The chairman of the party in the state also decamped to another party. So you can see those factors, they are not small factors when it comes to election. Sure. So it affected him, and unfortunately for the candidate standing for the election under his party, he's a man that is loved by people, he's a man that has pedigree, he's a man that stands out of all other candidates in terms of his intellectual capacity, in terms of his background, because he's coming from also a technocratic background. He was a board of director chairman for several years in some companies. So he actually knows how to manage resources. But unfortunately, what's it called? Life outside politics is different from life in the politics. Sure. So you cannot, you know, equate the two. So that is on the side of the PDP that lost the election. So you can see, then again, the issue of the Oba of Benin, there were a lot of issues that has to do with the governor and the Oba of Benin, to the extent that probably there was a rumor at the time that he was contemplating of dethroning him. And you know, when it comes to traditional institution in Nigeria, Oba of Benin is not a small throne, and the people respected their, you know, Oba very well, the people of Benin. So that could be another factor that works against the governor and his party. Then the Wike factor is also there, though that's, I may not actually say that one is because no individual can actually dictate the pace. But yet, these are the factors that actually worked against him. Now, for the candidate that won the election, you know, unfortunately, it was, you know, presumed to be the poorest of all the candidates in terms of ability to marshal points, to present the program you have for the people. You cannot, you know, articulate the program you have. You want to rule people, you want to lead them, and you cannot present what you want to do for them. To the extent that a former governor was volunteering to go and stand in for a debate for him, as if he was the one that was going to be leading the people again. So you can see that one is a factor that should have actually worked against him. Then federal might. He belongs to a party that is in government at federal level. So he has to its kit the police, the military, the electoral umpire, because he who plays the piper dictates the tone. The president appointed the electoral umpire, and you will agree with me that a lot would have gone underneath on how he must make sure that his party wins the election, and that manifests in the process of the election. So these are the, with regards to he who wins or loses the election, these are the intricacies that, you know, underlies, you know, the outcome of the election.
How do you think this election will tend to impact the state's governance and policy? You know, it's more like moving from APC to PDP and back to APC. How do you think this actually affects or impacts governance in the state, and especially its policy? You know, it's different political parties with different ideology entirely.
Well, let me ask you, sir, does any party in Nigeria has an ideology?
I think we do.
Probably you will have to enlighten me on that, because if, you know, we copy our electoral system from the US, and to the best of my knowledge, we have two-party system in the US. And when it comes to Democrats, you know that these are the liberals. When it comes to Republicans, you know, these are the conservatives. And you know the likelihood of the programs they are going to bring on the table for their people. But please, what can you say about either PDP, APC, Labour, NNPP, and so on and so forth? What exactly can you say that now, as it stands in this country now, we have about 4 or 5 political parties ruling different states. We have PDP, we have APC, we have Labour Party, we have NNPP in Kano, we have Labour in Abia State, and then we have APGA in Anambra State. What can you pinpoint that makes their program to be different from other parties in other states? So we actually lack what is called political ideology as a people. So now the implication, I really don't see any difference that the current party that won the election is going to bring into, because ordinarily we're supposed to be saying that, oh, since they are at the federal level, this is what they have been doing. Probably they are known for welfareism, probably they are known for probably capitalist oriented programs, and so on and so forth. But they are not even known for a particular thing. So I don't expect much. Don't forget, it was APC that left the state before the PDP, took over. And what can you point to? Like I said, I was in Benin severally, PDP. You can't see any tangible improvement in the city of Benin. So look at our state that are being ruled by APC. What exactly can you point to? That, when it comes to road network, this one is perfect. When it comes to, paying salary, promptly, they all struggle to pay salary, even when they have excess money. So there's hardly no difference between all of them.
Well, you did mention political parties. You did mention certain weaknesses and strengths, more like pros and cons for each. You mentioned the Obaseki, Oba of Benin and Obaseki factor. You did mention the presidency factor. But what lessons could be learned in these elections generally in Nigeria? What should be the moral lessons?
Ordinarily, every election year we are supposed to learn a particular lesson. But with what happened last weekend, we are not learning anything as a people. If let me pick my assertion from the last presidential election we had in the country in 2023. Before, we have been using beavers for accreditation for election, but there wasn't anything like IRF. So in 2023, an innovation was brought into electoral processes, whereby it was clearly stated that as the voting is concluded at every polling unit, the result will be transmitted immediately. So just to avert the issue of manipulating scores between the polling station and the collation center, which was a very novel improvement on the previous elections. Now, eventually, the people of Underworld, they undermine that system. They switch off the IRF aspect of the process. And that is where you begin to hear the issue of glitch here and there. And then they eventually retorted to manual collation. We were supposed to improve on what we had, but unfortunately, we didn't. The last weekend election, thank God there was an improvement on the issue of IRF. Now, as they were concluding the voting at the polling unit, in fact, before 6 p.m. of that day, about 70% of the result of election have been uploaded on the IRF, which was a very good improvement on the previous election. Okay. But again, between that moment and the following morning, when the collation took place, a lot of things has changed. So, what have we learned? Look at the electorate themselves. In the previous elections, we see that if you collect money and you vote for a wrong candidate, you are going to suffer the consequences at the end of the day. And we learned that one of the consequences of not being voting the correct candidate in the previous election is what we see all over. But yet, people still collected money. We had it in the news that both the parties, especially the two, most pronounced party in that election, they were buying votes to the tune of 10,000, 12,000, 15,000. You see, our people did not learn anything. On a good day, let's even assume that you are tempted to collect the money, but yet nobody can force your hands to vote for a wrong candidate. You still have the choice. You still have the the reserved choice to vote for the person you think is right. But we didn't learn. So those that collect 10,000, that collected 10,000 naira, that collected 20,000 or 15,000 naira, please, how many days will they use to spend that money? And then will the money sustain them for the next 4 years? These are the people that, some of them, they have graduated in their homes that has no job. So if all the money that the incoming person is supposed to use probably to create employment opportunities or empowerment programs, if he had given you all this money, now you have collected it, then it means for the next 4 years you shouldn't be expecting anything from him. So in summary, we have not learned anything, because if we have learned anything, then our actions during election should speak volume of what we learned in the previous election.
You know, you did mention the issue of ideologies amongst party, and I tend to wonder if the candidate policies and manifestos tend to resonate with voters. Do you think it mattered?
Their manifestos?
Yes.
It should matter. Look, how do you want to govern people without presenting your programs? Your manifestos. It is that your manifesto that will be monitoring as electorate. To vote you in, it shouldn't be the ends to everything. It should just be a means to the end. What do I mean by that? That you are voted in to be governor of a state is to tell you that we are entrusting our life into your hands. Based on this program, you are going to, probably in the manifesto now, you said you are going to provide job for the jobless. You are going to create enabling environment for industrialization. You are going to make sure that infrastructurally you improve what we have in the state. But having listed all this, first year, second year, third year, we could not see any traces of you doing anything on that. Then it makes no sense. Our trust has been betrayed, and therefore the next cycle of election, you shouldn't even move near to being contesting. Even if you dare do that, we that are electorate that put you there, we should decide again that, look, you are not fit to govern us again. But unfortunately, our society is just, you know, if you look at the commentaries after this election, you should shake your head for Nigerians, because it's as if there's this social language called see finish.
Yeah.
The government has seen us finish with the citizens. So they have come to a point that whatever they do, they will go away with it.
Well, we will be right here waiting for you guys to come back. It's still a Daybreak Africa. So, Olatunji, we're talking about the need for manifestos and policies implementation, amongst other things. Considering the political system where we practice, where candidates are not really moved, you know, or encouraged to, you know, attend or perform political debates, how best do you think individuals could better evaluate their candidates? Because it's more like give and take process. Give me 2,000, I give you my vote. Is that what we really practice in the political system? And if that be the case, because we know for a fact, you know, we have candidates that have refused, not just in last elections, but, you know, candidates have said, I am not telling you people anything. I am not going to be interviewed. I'm not going to explain myself to you people, but most likely I will match to you now. And we have seen cases like that in Nigeria. What does this speak for us, and what does it speak for, even for the last elections?
Yeah, of course.
It's obvious nobody knew all political parties that came. It was about 17 or 16. I know for the fact nobody knew all those individuals, because they were not given platforms to actually say a word or two.
They were actually giving platforms.
Okay, but they
didn't go there, except the Labour Party man, who was even angry that he got to the studio and discovered that all other constituents, no one was where to be found. So, look, sir, we don't have the culture of, as a people, we don't have the culture of our contestant telling us their mindset about governance. We don't have the culture. You will discover. American election is coming by November. The first debate that was conducted between Donald Trump and Joe Biden was what necessitated the Democrats to say that, please, with this debate, we are doomed if we do not change our candidate. Because the American society valued the issue of debate more than any other thing. Because that is where they assess their candidate. His mental capacity, his focus, his mission. And then when he asks for the citizen, his ability to address the issue of the moment that is affecting the country. So, if you are there and they watch you on television or in other media, and you are not able to convince them on your ability, then such a person will likely lose the election. But here, we are not bothered. In fact, he who comes to debate will even be seen as the weak candidate. That what does debate means? More so, no matter how good you marshal your point or your policy for the governance, as much as it's not from a particular tribe or it's not from a particular religion, they close their ear to whatever the person is saying. That is the type of society we are. Unfortunately, people that were presumed to be educated are even most of the time the one that are fanning, the embers of this ignorance. You see them saying that no, forget about what he's saying. That is not what he will do when he gets there. And then candidate that cannot even say anything, like the last one we just had, that could not even tell you what he's going to do. They will be telling you that he's the one that is going to, because it belongs, it's our son or it's our daughter, because it belongs to our religion. He's the one that is going to, he's the one we are going to vote for. Now, it's just a society that you wonder that what exactly do we want? Do we really want progress? Or do we just want to be doing it because other countries are voting and they are having leaders, and then we should just be having leaders without any impact? So looking at the issue of debates, policy formulation and implementation as regards the candidates, we are not yet there. We are still far from the reality of what is debate in an election. So
if we're not yet there, when are we going to get there? What does the future hold for us? Because there are some people who have this belief that the government are not the only people responsible for Nigerian state at the moment. Even the people are to blame for some of the things we are passing through, while some other people are of the belief that if the head is faulty, the rest of the body will definitely be faulty. So what's your own take on that?
Yeah, we have different school of thoughts. It's true. I belong to the school of thought that says when the head is in problem, every other part of the body will be in problem. I belong to that school of thought. And then there's this school of thought too that says, well, the type of citizens, the type of people you have, is the type of leaders you produce. So these are two school of thought that they are both very, very valid. They are both very, very valid. If the leader knows that he's going to lead a people that is conscious, that is educated. I'm not saying going to school. There's a difference between being literate and being educated. You may be able to read and write, and yet you may be the most foolish person on earth. So education has to do with application of what you learn to your daily life. So if leaders discover that these people I'm leading, they know what I can do, they can project ahead of me to even predict what I can do and what I cannot do, it will sit tight. If they know that this society will not accept me when I perform below the average, such a leader will sit tight. If such a people will not collect money during election, if the leaders know that these people will not collect money, They would rather vote their conscience. They will sit tight. But if the leaders discover that, yeah, who are the people? Even if you protest from now till tomorrow, by the time we call your leaders and settle them, the protest will go down. And therefore, we continue our life the way it is. Then they will continue to perpetrate incompetency in government. So that is one school of thought. Then if leaders are so determined, irrespective of whom the followers are, if they are determined that, as far as I am concerned, I want to effect a change in this country, I want to let people know that we can organize ourselves. I want to let people know that other countries such as Malaysia, such as Singapore, we are not talking of America or Britain now, we are talking of Asian tigers, that we were in the same level before in terms of development, but now they have left us behind. If they can organize their society, then if a leader comes up in Nigeria and say, oh, I want to be like a leader, you know, who will effect change, and people will see the change, irrespective of what anybody says, then the followers will sit tight. They will sit tight. Because such a leader has to himself or herself, the state apparatus, he has the security men to effect the change, he has the money to effect the change, he has the influence to effect the change. But if there's no leader who can have such a determination, then the circle continues. So the two school of thought, the way out is, as far as Nigerian, you know, political discourse is concerned, the way out is God's intervention. Are you saying I'm handing it over to God? Yeah. Because
so it's beyond man.
Of course.
Man can no longer do the job.
Because look, let me just. I was one of those that seriously believe in the personality of Muhammadu Buhari. I was once one of those that who strongly believe in him because of his antecedents when he was a military head of state. But coming to the government, he proved everybody wrong. We were thinking that, oh, Jonathan was not active, he was a president that doesn't have grips on his government, and therefore somebody who we know what he did, the war against indiscipline, you know, the incarceration of those that were thought to be, you know, corrupt people in his military era. If he comes to the government now, at least he will effect a change. Unfortunately, he was almost worse than Jonathan. And if you could have such, then who else do you think you can say you can trust?
But in this election, which candidate tends to surprise you the most with the performance? Or were you more like just you already
did you
knew,
foresee
it? Exactly. Was it more like no element of surprise here? I actually thought this would
actually happen. So
was there a surprise in performance?
In this Edo election?
Yes.
Well, is that of APC that surprised me most?
Okay,
where did you place APC?
I never expected such a performance. This is my personal opinion. I never expected such. You and I knows what transportation cost is. You and I knows when you go to market, you know what you are confronted with.
Well, maybe they voted the person and not the party.
Oh, please, can you please tell us one fascinating credentials of the candidate?
He's a senator, so I believe he must have done one for his senatorial district.
Oh, senator!
Point. I'm only saying, I'm not there in person, so as he should.
So being a senator now,
as he should. So.
Okay, he should. Okay, probably he should. But we have not heard anything about even being a senator. Please, has he sponsored a bill since he has been a senator? Have you had him contributing to a debate in the House? Excuse me. We tolerate all manner of incompetencies in our governance.
So if you believe the party itself has nothing to write home about, the candidate himself is not agile or not capable, why do you think the people voted for him?
That's a serious question. That's a serious question. You see, it boils on what we have been saying. You have a candidate that probably we say we have not been able to ascertain his competence in governance, even though he's a senator, but yet we have not seen any tangible performance on that senatorial seat. And again, you have a party that is performing, maybe in my own language, below average. And people are angry with such a party in government, and such a party is also winning an election. It's like when you interpolate S and Y axis, you have rising cost of living, and then you have people rejoicing in voting the same party that is causing such high in the cost of living. Excuse me. I don't know if there's any theory that supports that, whereby you are living in hardship and yet you are happy, putting the party that is causing the hardship for you, you are happy voting him into the power. I have not seen that. So that is to tell us that a lot of things changed overnight. Because according to the report we had, I was not there, but we monitor it, the process of the election. As I told you the other time, about 70% of the results from the polling unit has been uploaded into IREF. And according to what we had, that the incumbent party in the state was actually leading seriously, but at a time, the non-state actors, there are people we refer to as non-state actors, they have the backing of the state actors, and therefore they are free to carry gun, they are free to molest anybody, because they have the support of the state actors. So when they discover that the election is going against them, they came out and disrupt the collection at the local government level. And so the agent of the incumbent party in the state were asked to leave the arena. And the results were now moved from that local government level to the state level, where the agent of the party, incumbent party in the state, were not allowed to attend the collation. So tell me, when your agent is not in a place where your result is being collated, anything can happen there. And we had rumors here and there that the result sheet now, that it was swap for the original. The counterfeit was put for the INEC to announce for the original.
Are they backup claims to all this you've been saying?
Well, we read in the news, and if you look at the trends of that election that very day, you discover that actually something like that likely happened. Let me give 3 elections took place last weekend. Not only a Edo election, there's one that took place in Imo State, there's another one that took place in Kwara State. There was a scenario in Kwara, though they were local government elections, where election materials were found in the hands of an individual inside the bush doing multiple thumb printing for a particular political party. And unfortunately, was caught. And the video was everywhere on the internet. He couldn't say anything. He was being beaten blue and black. And tell me, and in that state now, the party that the person was thumb printing for actually won the election. Please, is it the people that voted that very particular candidate in that local government? So this is the scenario in our society. So you cannot actually say this is the real outcome of the election. This is what made this person to win. It is subject to all other things that you cannot easily, pinpoint that are happening underneath. There are a lot of underlying factors. The non-state actors, they are most effective instruments. You see, when you see parties saying we have structure, this doesn't have structure, that one doesn't have structure. The structure they are talking about is not the people that want to vote for them. It's not even the political party agents, but other factors that they cannot say. The issue of vote buy, the issue of using thugs, these are the non-state actors, touts, empowering them with guns, disrupting the process of election if they discover that they are not winning. These are the machinery, these are the structures they are talking about. And until we overcome all this, there's no reality in our elections.
Away from this, is there any other significant electoral regularities or controversy, especially on the part of INEC, you would want to highlight quickly before we begin to round up?
Well, on the part of INEC, see, right from the appointment of INEC officials, it has been tilted towards the party in power. When you bring a carrying card member of a party to come and preside over election that is combining several parties, you should be assured that such an official will do one thing or the other to favor the party he belongs to or she belongs to. So it's a serious minus on our political system. In US, there's what we call Federal Electoral Commission, Federal Electoral Commission. They are the people that manage the election in US. They have 6 electoral commissioners. 3 will be from the Republicans and 3 will be from the Democrats. They are the one that manages the election. So you can't, except probably in recent time that internet influence comes into US elections. You can't say that the commissioners influence any of the outcome of the election because of the structure that is on ground. So we don't have that structure here until we get it right.
In essence, you're saying INEC is not independent?
They are not. They are not. They are only independent by the inscription, by the letter, but not by action. They are not independent. And that is the result of what we get everywhere, all the time. We have election.
Well, before we round up, the aspect of always having one irregularity or the other when it comes to elections in Nigeria has been so persistent over time. We'll talk about vote buying, we'll talk about violence and so many other things. But yet again, I think I came across one video where someone was saying that some people voted for the money, which is vote buying, and it still persists till now. And even with so much electoral reforms being done to make sure there are no hitches when it comes to electioneering process in Nigeria, we still see these things happening. In all of this, what do you think can be done actually? Where do we begin to restructure our electoral process in Nigeria to have at least a fair stand?
Good. If EFCC were to be actually perform their functions, they would have reduced the effect of vote buying and all other government apparatus that are built to do that job. The ICPC, the EFCC, on the day of election, if they're out, they will actually reduce. They can't completely eradicate it, but they will reduce it. That's one, for that vote buying. For the issue of manipulation of results, for me, if I would suggest, I would say all election counting and declaration of the final results should take place at the polling booth. Not going to either ward or going to local government or going to state. It should be declared at the polling booth, then transmitted, and then only the transmitted result should be reckoned with at the state headquarters. If you do that, there won't be anything, somebody hijacking the results in the process of taking it to the ward level or from the ward to local government, from the local government to state level. There won't be anything like hijacking. Even non-state actors that always hibernate on the way to hijack this, they won't be able to do that. Everybody will concentrate. All the parties will be present in all the polling units. And then the result declared there should be the result that will be reckoned with, irrespective of any party that wins. And as it is being declared, let it be transmitted into the IRF, and then whatever that is transmitted to the IRF should be what will be reckoned with, not the manual one written. And that is where we can curb such serious problem of collation. Because actually, collation centers are where elections are being manipulated. So if you bypass that, then we can begin to see some kind of pure resemblance of correct, a result that will come out of our elections.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Daybreak Africa. It has been wonderful having you around. Hopefully we get to talk more about this some other time.
Thank you very much.
Well, to our audience, thank you for joining us on this episode of Daybreak Africa.
What brings us to an end for Daybreak Africa this morning, but of course, as always, we'll be here at the same time, same station on tomorrow morning. You do have a wonderful day ahead. I remain Ezekiel, Ogar.
Have a wonderful day ahead. I am Angela Daku. Okay.
Yes, there is news on your device, but hearing an analyst's perspective is the icing on the cake that Daybreak Africa provides. Start your day with prompt analysis of the latest news, trends,
Exactly, and then you see these people, they're so agile, they can do a lot of
politics,
We have to go back to that regional system. That is the foundation of this country, for God's sake.
entertainment, fashion, culinary skills,
So first I'm going to be pouring the oil inside the pot and I will...
religious and cultural events, amongst others, on Daybreak Africa. For a rich mix of analysis on current issues, tune in daily from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on channel 480 and 124 on Startimes.